As we think about this recovery, the federal government passed a $2.2 trillion emergency relief package, as Tim and I alluded to just a moment ago. But it's clear that is not going to be sufficient to meet the economic challenge. And I want to open this up to all three of you. What would you like to see in a future stimulus package that can help economic recovery and some of these environmental priorities?
From the Sierra Club, point of view, any forthcoming stimulus proposal must focus relief on people, prioritize public health, support workers, and again, set us up for a clean energy economy that will provide dividends into the future. So really, we want to see a in clean energy tax incentives and credits. So the clean energy tax credit, ITC for solar, EV tax credits, as well as the wind production tax credit. Something else we would like to see, though, is moratorium on utility shutoffs, waiver of all late payment charges, and the reinstitution of any services that have been cut off due to non-payment. I think Andrew and Mike could go further into that as well. And then something that we would not like to see in this stimulus is the bailing out of the fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry already subsidizes tens of billions of dollars a year. And really, without those tax dollars, more than half of its investments would be unprofitable. So it's overwhelmingly clear that this industry doesn't deserve further infusions of taxpayer money. We should not be propping up corporate polluters. We need to be investing in the energy transition and really focusing on protections for frontline workers and communities, and not these massive bailouts for corporations. So I know at the federal level, we've really been leaning on the stimulus package to contribute to a just recovery by upholding 5 principles. And really those 5 principles are health as being the top priority for all people with no exceptions, providing economic relief directly to the people, rescue workers and communities, not corporate executives, and really making a down payment on a regenerative economy while preventing future crises, and really protecting, and this is really important, even though it's not directly related to the environment, but protecting our democratic processes while protecting each other. So those are really kind of the few things I would like to see. I know the Sierra Club would like to see in any future stimulus package.
Well, that's certainly a wonderful list, and you touched on so many things. I would like to bring Mike and Andrew into this outline of how we create a more forward-looking, equitable recovery package. Andrew, you had mentioned energy efficiency as one of those key areas. What could we look to see? What should we be seeing in a stimulus package that could incentivize energy efficiency more effectively?
Well, if I could maybe answer in a sort of roundabout way here. So they're not all, we know we have to spend money right now, right, to help the economy. We know we're in a place where we're under an exigent circumstance where people are going to be adversely affected, and not all forms of government spending are equal. I mean, we could put it, when a government gets together in public finance and asks themselves how we're going to impact an economy, there are different ways they can go about it. And one of the things that's really good about energy efficiency and these infrastructure investments that we're talking about is how many different levels of benefit they give and why the government should be spending on this. One of the reasons that we really like energy efficiency is because it provides on a couple of key points which are very important for the future, not just costs now, but costs down the road. Number one, you have wealth being built in those households, and especially here in Detroit area, you have a lot of older housing stock, and who tends to inhabit that housing stock are low-income homeowners, right? So we're looking at people that are already making a fixed income and are paying a higher percentage of that bill on their energy than wealthier households, and they're living in the most inefficient housing stock. So where can we, number one, look at immediate inequities in society and how we correct them? Well, one of the ways we do that is through energy efficiency. If we provide funding for homeowners to upgrade their insulation or upgrade their appliances and grants like that, that is then money that those homeowners are not paying that they have to save for other things, to invest in other things, and that has benefits immediately. The other thing it does is it creates less energy use overall for our whole region. And what that does is means we need to replace less of our polluting fossil fuel infrastructure with renewables, which means that the timeline and the effort it's going to take will be shortened. If we just take a 1-for-1, we replace all the coal megawatts with all the renewables, that's one thing. But if we're also on another end coming in with energy efficiency and really making sure that we're flattening or even decreasing energy demand as well, that's going to have benefits to society for climate change down the road. And that's going to lower our rates as well, because, number one, you've got these homeowners saving by not having to spend as much on inefficient infrastructure in their own home. Number two, you're not going to have to spend as much to replace infrastructure and these stranded assets as well as another issue which is coming up right now. We've got these gas plants they're building. We don't know how long they'll be useful under a climate change scenario where we take action. We don't want to balance those costs on low-income people or really any ratepayers. So when we are investing in energy efficiency, we're making it easier to bridge that gap. And that's why it's so critical. But all of us benefit.
What else would you like to see? Or is there any point that Tim or Andrew brought up that you'd like to reinforce?
Absolutely. So I think one of the first things I want to mention is that right now in Michigan, we have over 90,000 citizens that make their living by working in the clean energy industry. These are people that, say, manufacture solar panels or parts and components of wind turbines or lubricants that go into the wind turbine rotational units. People that go into homes or industry centers and help install new efficient insulation or lower impact lighting and water use appliances and things of that nature. And so we've got over 90,000 of those folks in Michigan right now. We don't have the data for April, but in March, when we were just starting to see the onset of this pandemic and the quarantine, we already saw 5,000 clean energy workers in Michigan alone lose their jobs. And so, just reiterating that not only, is stimulus required in order to help continue the movement of mitigating climate change, protecting our most vulnerable communities, but it's also crucial for protecting the livelihoods of these workers.